How does someone go from getting into Harvard to 15 years later being broke, divorced, and earning just above minimum wage? And then a few years after that, turn it all back around and have a successful Fortune 500 career, be happily remarried, and living a life he loves? This is my story of undiagnosed ADD, the warning signs that I missed, and how I caused myself and other people a fair bit of disappointment that could have been avoided. In retrospect, the warning signs were everywhere. In 3rd grade, I got an award from my teacher. It was the Best at Getting Around Doing Work award. I was the most chronic of chronic procrastinators, regularly doing homework right before class, in the morning before class, or late at night the night before, no matter how many weeks of lead time we'd been given. My family came to jokingly associate me with Cliff's Notes because I was seemingly unwilling to ever read a book all the way through. I was told I was lazy, unmotivated, and undisciplined, but everybody let it slide because I was doing well academically. And when I got to Harvard, my life fell apart. See, what I didn't realize in high school was that I was pulled forward to success by a supportive environment, not just of family, but of really academically focused friends. See, your parents were right. You shouldn't hang out with bad influences. High school was very structured. My friends invited me to study with them all the time, which was great because I needed their class notes because mine were disjointed, incoherent, or non-existent. I also had older sisters who had gone through the same high school and had built a positive reputation with a number of teachers, and so I had an easier path. Finally, my parents were very insistent or supportive of academic success. However, when I went to Harvard, I lost all of that. It took me 2 extra years to graduate from Harvard, basically the equivalent of the 6-year plan. Then I stumbled and fumbled my way through 6 failed jobs / attempts at starting my own business. My laziness and lack of motivation and clear inability to succeed understandably became too much for my wife of 9 years, and we got a divorce. So there I am, 32 years old, divorced and broke. I knew something needed to change as I sat down on my side of a king-size bed in the house that I was sharing with 4 housemates. The other side of the king-size bed was for Billy, a tech support analyst from Vietnam. The only rent that I could afford was to share a room and a bed with Billy because I was earning just above minimum wage. That level of stress was able to get my ADD brain above the action threshold, just like a major deadline can trigger enough stress in ADDers to get them to finally produce work that they've been chronically procrastinating on. So out of sheer terror, I was able to hustle. And 3 months later, I got a job at over double the salary I had been making, and I managed to hang on there for a little over 7 months. I was able to use some of the wins from that better job, which I explain as the snowball effect in a video that I'll link to down below. But little did I know that my biggest transformation was right around the corner. Fast forward 3 months into my new job, and I get a dreaded phone call. My manager, who's only heard great things about me for the first few months, says that a key stakeholder is very disappointed in my work. She says she wants me to basically redo almost all of it, all in the next week. And this was stuff I've been working on for months, and give her an entirely new set of deliverables by the end of the week. I was still under a 6-month initial probationary period. My manager said that this was serious, and so in no uncertain terms, my job was on the line that following week. I felt like I was just starting to rebuild my life, and now this familiar song was playing yet again. I'd already been here through so many past attempts to ramp things up, only to fall back down flat throughout my 20s. And here I was, about to do it again. Panicked. I called one of my friends. Note, what I did was illegal, unsafe, and a panic-stricken approach. In my video about the signs of ADD, which I'll link to below, I explain how you can go about getting a proper evaluation from a licensed professional. So panic-stricken, I called my friend because he had mentioned in passing his ADHD, and I said, Joe, I need to stay late at work every day next week and produce an incredible amount of work or they're gonna fire me. I know you mentioned that you take Adderall before. I'm desperate, man. Is there any chance that I could borrow a few? I'd never tried Adderall before in my life, not even in college. I just knew that I was desperate and I didn't want to repeat my past 6 failures all over again. And that's when my life changed. Monday, when I got to work, I took an Adderall, and for the first time in my life, I felt that I had control to direct my attention and concentration to work on something that I needed to work on. It's hard to quite describe what this night and day experience is, but one analogy would be like the first time if you've ever had to wear glasses, where you put them on and you realize what you haven't been seeing. For me, it was mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is what people talk about when they say, just focus on it and get it done. What's the big deal? As I started to learn more about ADD, I found out that my life experience wasn't unique. It was actually really predictable. All the things that I went through were statistically predictable. Chronic procrastination and academic struggles, job failure, relationship failure and divorce, and borderline abuse of alcohol and weed, which are all also statistically much higher in ADD populations. But I think the hardest part was rebuilding my self-confidence. All my life I'd been called lazy and unmotivated, and now I had a string of failures to my name. That was a hard hole to get out of, because I started to believe the labels everyone was putting on me, and I couldn't argue with the lack of results in my life. So I went to see a psychiatrist right afterwards. We went through the evaluation, walked through my history and symptoms, and he couldn't believe I'd gone this long being undiagnosed. The day that I got the diagnosis and began medication as well as behavioral changes is literally an inflection point in my life. I'd been going almost non-stop downhill. It marked the reversal of almost 15 years of disappointment to the last 7 years, where my career, relationships, self-confidence have all been marching steadily upwards. It really is a day that changed my life. Once I had my ADD diagnosed, my career recovery accelerated massively. My relationship recovery did too, and I got married to an amazing woman at the start of COVID on Zoom. Over time, as I produced small wins and I began stacking them one on top of the other, that, combined with some therapy, helped my self-confidence recover. I want you to know that there is hope. So I created the Hidden ADD YouTube channel for 2 audiences. First, for those of you who have ADD and are looking for tools, insights, and science-backed strategies to create a life you love. And 2, for people with undiagnosed ADD to understand the signs and symptoms, as well as the strategies they can use. There are a lot of people out there with ADD that did not have behavior problems because they don't have the hyperactive type of ADD, and they managed okay through school due to a combination of smarts and environmental support, who are struggling now in adulthood with undiagnosed ADD. So now that you've gotten to know me, give me a sentence or 2 about your story down in the comments below. What age were you diagnosed at? Did you have a similar or different experience to mine? I look forward to getting to know you.